everybody, it's Arnie from ecocycle.ca, and today we are building a Big Block PowerPack. We're going to be using this 420cc engine, this reverse gearbox, a set of CVT clutches, and of course we're going to be using the Big Block PowerPack bracket to tie it all together. So the great thing about using a PowerPack bracket kit is that it consolidates all these parts into one standalone engine drive system that you can, in essence, build your project around. So if you've ever wanted to build a go-kart, a cross kart, or repower your golf cart, this might just be the perfect place for you to start. So let's get into it. Okay, so this is what you're going to get when you order yourself a Big Block PowerPack. You're going to get a bracket kit with all the hardware that you are going to need to basically mount this engine with this reverse gearbox. So that's your basic Big Block PowerPack bracket, and you'll find the hardware kit included with the package. And inside this hardware kit we have some engine mounting bolts, and we've got some cross bolts with some custom machined spacers, gearbox spacers, and we have a cross bolt for the back of the PowerPack bracket. Okay, so this is the 40 series reverse gearbox, and these are available from www.ecocycle.ca. And don't confuse these with the smaller version gearboxes that you can find on Amazon and eBay, because this is not one of those. This is a far more substantial unit, and it is designed for the larger GX style or any other single style engine that basically about 20 horsepower. So www.ecocycle.ca, and I've got a few of those in stock and more on the way. So if that interests you, then please check it out. So okay, installation is relatively straightforward, and you'll see that there's a shaft here on the gearbox, and that is the input shaft, and your secondary clutch will slide onto this shaft. So in order to get this gearbox in, I just found it easier that I just basically rest it on top, and we're going to start with this top bolt here, and we're going to start feeding the bolt through the bracket. So we're going to take those spacers off the bolt, and we're going to start it through the side with this scallop right here. Okay, we're going to get it, whoa, we're going to get it threaded through the gearbox. This is not the final position. I hope you realize that. And we're going to put another spacer in here, and we're going to get that bolt in. Okay, just put the nut on loosely on the outside, and we're just going to fold this guy down. And there you go. It's pretty well in position right as it is. Okay, so now you got a couple more bolts here that we're just going to do the same. So one of them goes right here, and the other one goes right there. So let's put these in. I find that it is best to put the heads on the input side of the box. Okay, so we basically got our transmission in position here, and we're just going to flip this guy around, and then we're going to start to thread in the bolts and the spacers. I'm going to slip the spacers in here. Keep a slotted screwdriver handy, and what you want to do with that screwdriver is you just want to pry it in there, lever out the side plate a little bit so that your spacer fits in there nicely. You can see how that makes a difference there. So just use that to get everything lined up, and just drive those bolts through. Put one of your nylock nuts on the outside here, and repeat that process. Okay, last bolt. So you notice the spacer is just a little bit tight, and it's certainly designed that way. So we're just going to lever that out a little bit, make sure that spacer goes in there and nicely aligns with everything. You get the bolt in. We've got one more spacer to go. So we're going to drop that guy in there, just like so. And then we're just going to put that bolt through. Okay, we're on our last bolt here. So we're just going to use our impact driver. Just get that going. Put a nut on. And then you'll notice on the gearbox that there are 3 castings around the output shaft, the splined output shaft. And with your gearbox kit, you're going to get the hardware for these. And I'll just look at my little pile here. And those bolts look just like this, okay? So we're going to take a couple of those bolts. And we're just going to get those started in the casing before we tighten everything down. Alright, after you got all the hardware started, you can flip it back over again. And we're just going to now proceed to just tighten down all the hardware. We're actually going to start with those 2 1/2-inch or 13mm casting bolts. We just threaded in there. And we'll get those started. And then we will proceed to tighten up all the cross bolts. Don't forget your rear crossbar spacer like I just did. And that just basically slips into the back of the PowerPack, right like so. And it's the same deal. So this will also give you a mount for a tensioning adjuster if you so desire. Right. 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 There you go. That's all she wrote. Okay, now we're going to put the drive sprocket on. So the sprocket that typically comes with these gearboxes is a 12-tooth 530 chain sprocket. So it's quite a robust sprocket. It's like the same size as like a high-performance motorcycle chain, so bear that in mind. And the other thing you need to be aware of is you can basically put this sprocket on this way or this way. There's kind of a pilot on one side of the sprocket, and you will maximize your clearance if you... Shit. Did I put those bolts in the wrong way? I did. I put the heads on the wrong side, and now I've got all these protrusions sticking out. This is why I recommended that you put the bolts on the input side of the gearbox, so that when you have your sprocket on here, you're not hitting your chain on any of the cross bolts. So I better fix that. Okay, back onto sprocket service here. Okay, so like I was saying, there is a pilot on one side of the sprocket and it's flat on the other. Now, if you put the pilot in toward the gearbox, then that will maximize your clearance for your chain. So if that works for you, your application may be different, but just saying. Okay, so now there's a retainer plate here. Now the trick with this retainer plate is that it just goes over the spline, right? And then it will rotate slightly. And then it'll line up with the holes on the sprocket, right, like so. You put these little bolts in here, and those have got an 8mm head. Okay, so we're just gonna get those. You might want to throw some Loctite on there just to be safe. But we're just gonna tighten this up as it is. So 8mm. And just make sure all your fasteners are tight after you've got everything together. Okay, and that is it. Your sprocket is on. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the shifter bracket on. And I should mention that all the parts that you will need to create your Big Block PowerPack are going to be included with the gearbox, the PowerPack bracket, or the CVT belt drive kit. So pretty well everything is going to be there for you, what you need. So so you don't have to go looking around for any other parts. So you buy your engine, you buy your gearbox, you buy your CVT clutches, you buy your PowerPack bracket, and at the end of it, you will have a complete, ready to run engine drive system for your project. So let's continue on. Okay, for the shifter bracket, so the way that this goes is that there's 3 bosses right here on the side of the gearbox case, and there's 3 holes on this bracket. Now, you'd be able to put this on this way, or you'd be able to put it on this way, but don't put it on that way. That's wrong. So you want to put it on with the flange kind of going out, because you can see that there's kind of a little angle built into those ears, and that's intended so that the cables are kind of moved outward. So we just take the included 6mm bolt with the 10mm head that comes with your gearbox kit, and we put that on just like so, and we'll tighten those down. I have noticed on some units that the threads are just a little bit short in the casing, so you may need to add a washer or 2 underneath the head if you can't bottom it out, and this one seems to be fine. Okay, there you go. So it should be like that. You can see how the step in the bracket is out, and if you look carefully, you can see that there is a taper on these cable guides, and you want that so that it displays the cables out, because they are going to go around this guy, which is called, well, I've been calling it, thanks to a follower who gave me a good name for it, cable rotor. This is the cable rotor. So the cable rotor is designed to compress onto the spline shafts, but don't tighten it down yet, because you're going to need to kind of adjust this guy. You know, you're going to need to find the appropriate spline, and the way that this gearbox operates is that this rotates and it puts it either in forward, you can see the sprocket spinning, neutral, or reverse. Okay? And that's the whole reason that you're doing this, is so you can have reverse. Okay, here's a little bird's eye view of the gearbox from the top. Now, you want to kind of find reverse before you start hooking up your cables here. So you can see when I spin the sprocket, it's spinning the shaft in the same direction. So I find it, you find neutral, and that's neutral right there. See, this input shaft's not spinning, and it's not spinning the output shaft. So once you find neutral, you kind of want to just try to line up this little cable rotor as best you can, so that it's basically symmetrical with the gearbox, and that's a pretty good starting position. You may need to kind of lift this off and rotate it one spline or another, depends on how everything is adjusted out. Okay, the next step is to string the cables into the shifter, and that's a pretty simple procedure. And all you need to do is take your shifter handle here, and it comes loose from the factory, so get this nut off the back side, and there's a spring in here, so just be careful. Pull that lid off, This is the washer, goes right on there like so. Just put that off to the side for now, and take the spring off, and you'll see that all there is just this little mechanism right here. It's properly orientated. So when this handle moves forward, that puts it in forward. That's neutral, and this is reverse. So you don't need to worry about what is what now. You just get your cables here. These come with your Gearbox kit, and you get them all unwound to make sure they're not damaged or anything like that. Okay, so now there's two different style ends. You just have your standard crimped end on this side, and then on this side you have your adjustable end. This goes to your gearbox. Okay, so again, don't worry about which goes where right now. We'll deal with that when we get to the gearbox. Okay, so all you need to do is just slide this barrel into that cavity and thread that around like so. And do the same for this one here. Just put it in the barrel, thread it around, put your handle back in the case. Get your cables lined up into the barrel, like so. Okay. Put your spring and cup back on, and then you're going to put your handle cover back over. Now, just be aware that these little plastic pieces here, they're designed to go into these little cavities that are on the shifter handle. And if you try to tighten this down and they're not in place, they're going to break off. Okay, so we're going to just put the case cover, the handle cover back on. We're going to get those little tangs lined up. And we're going to just make sure everything fits down there. It does, okay. So we're just going to push this in our hand now. We're going to compress everything with our hand, get our nut on the back side. Quite a bit of spring tension on here. Bear in mind. Okay, so it's looking good. Now we're going to be able to just tighten down this bolt, and with a nut and with a socket and ratchet and a wrench, we'll be good to go. Okay, so we got our handle all strung. Now you have to pay attention to the cable routing, okay? So when you pull this handle forward, it's going to pull on this top cable here, okay? That's your forward shift cable. All right, so the forward shift cable, just grab a hold of that, okay? And you want to put that forward shift cable into the front hole on the bracket on the gearbox, okay? So leave all your adjuster screws nice and loose. Back this one right up to the elbow, okay? And just leave it there. And just get the retainer nut screwed on. Now, the way that this is going to go is just like that, pretty well, okay? And we're going to have to fine tune this once we get it all installed and everything, and all your cables are routed, because that will actually change your shifting performance. It all depends on how you get your cables routed in your vehicle. No sharp bends, nice and smooth routings, not by anything melty. Okay, so same deal, get the nut right up to the elbow. Leave the other nut loose, and you just want to get it into this little retainer hole. Flip that guy over. It's in neutral. I always like to find neutral. Make sure your shifter is also in neutral, which it is. You can see that it's in the middle gate there. Okay, and then just find out where it's relatively happy there, and that's pretty even, you know, so you're probably in the ballpark already there. You will need to fine tune a little bit once you get it done, all routed, but there you go. And then I wouldn't tighten this pinch bolt up quite yet. Make sure you get everything off, because you may, like I said, you may need to pull this cable rotor on and off and adjust it, you know, one spline one way or another after you got all that done. Okay, so that is pretty well all your routing. Okay, in the interest of finishing off the gearbox installation here, with your gearbox kit, you're going to get one of these little rubber elbows. This is your vent line here, okay? So, wow, I just heard a vacuum from the gearbox, so that's obviously means it's pretty well sealed. So this, you just pull off this little vacuum cap, and then you put on this little vent here, and once your gearbox is running and it's full of gear oil, it's going to expand and it's going to agitate, and this just gives you a vent, and just in case it needs to escape. And obviously it was sealed up there pretty good, because I heard that sound when I pulled that off. So also we're going to fill up this gearbox right now, and we've been using GL5 gear oil. 80 gear oil, 90 gear oil is probably going to be okay as well. So you just want to have some kind of gear oil in there, and that should do the job. So let's fill it up, and let's actually try to see how much oil one of these will actually hold. I know on the small blocks they hold about 250 milliliters. The big block, let's find out. Okay, so your fill port for your gearbox is right here. This is where you're going to put the fluid in. And just so you know, and this is your drain screw right here. So you can see that the PowerPack bracket has got a cutout for that. So when you do want to change your gear oil, you have access to your drain plug. So now we've got 350 milliliters of gear oil in the bottle here. So I'm just assuming that it's going to take 350 milliliters. So let's just start squirting it in there, and let's see how much it actually holds here. Okay, I got it filled up, and in the interest of science, I'm going to drain it all back out again and measure it so I can tell you exactly how much capacity this gearbox holds in oil. Oh, quite confident we're going to make a big mess here, but we're going to pull this drain plug anyway and hopefully funnel it all back into the container. And it's got a little window on the side, so we'll be able to see exactly how much oil this thing actually holds. I'm thinking it's probably going to be around 750 milliliters from what I gathered just filling it up right now. Okay, there she comes. Okay, we're down to a trickle, and as you can see, we had 800 milliliters of gear oil come out of that gearbox. So yeah, I didn't expect it to be quite so much, but yeah, there you go. So you're going to need basically a liter of gear oil, and you'll have a little bit left over. So once you spill stuff all over your garage floor, you'll just have enough with probably a liter of oil. Okay, I'm also going to recommend this, is that fill your gearbox up before you put your engine on, because then you can take this whole unit, put it vertical, and now that we know that we only need 800 milliliters, we can take our little oil bottle here and just fill the gearbox up, and you don't have to go in at an angle into the back fill port there with any kind of hoses. Just dump her in, put 800 milliliters of oil in your box, and you're good to go. All right, as predicted, I slopped oil all over the place. The end cap came off of the bottle and made a big giant mess. So get that liter of oil, because you might need it. Okay, where were we? We're going to put the engine on now. So included in your PowerPack bracket kit are engine mounting bolts, and these are 3/8 by 1 3/4, and we're now using a nylock flange nut, and that flange nut goes on the bottom side and the washer goes on the top side. So we're going to lift this engine onto the PowerPack bracket. with the shaft side out. And we should just get her all lined up. Just like so. Oops, I forgot something else. So you do need to make some modification to your engine. And the modification entails this drain plug right here. So you have basically two options, and I've detailed them in a previous video, but you can grind the head of this bolt down and just leave a little shoulder so that it does not fall out and or leak. Or you can use a little hex head bolt that I've sourced from Amazon. You can find the link for those on the website, and they're perfectly adequate, and that'll still give you access to your drain plug. But don't worry about grinding it, because these engines have another drain plug on the opposite side, which is very accessible. So up to you. Okay, so we're going to just pop this oil drain out here. I don't think there's any oil in here. It's a brand new engine. Oh, geez, that's hard. Okay, so we're just going to take this guy off. And, oh, still got some oil in there. Some shipping oil, I would imagine. And we're just going to put on this little hex guy. Like I said, the link's on the website. And if you don't want to spend $8 for a drain head, drain bolt, you can just grind the head off of that. Leave the shoulder on there though. It does come with this nice Allen key. So we'll just tighten that up and we're good to go. That oil is stinky. I don't know what kind of oil they're using from the factory there, but I haven't put any oil in this thing, but man, that does not smell nice. So yeah, so anyway, so there's a little casting on the, well, the whole thing is a casting, but there's a little machine step here, and basically if you kind of line that up with the edge of the PowerPack bracket, that's going to get you in approximately the right location. And you're going to drop these bolts in from the top and just get the holes lined up as best you can. There we go. One. Don't tighten it down yet. Two. There we go. Right in. Okay. So there you have it. That's in. We're just going to throw the nuts on here. And put the clutches on. Fill this engine up with oil and some gas. We're going to run it. Stay tuned. Okay, we are on the home stretch. All we need to do now is throw the clutches on, align it, tighten down the engine, and then we're going to put the battery tray and battery in, and I'm just going to shorten the cable lead, show you how to do that. And we'll be ready to fire this bad boy up. So let's make it happen here. Okay, so what do you need to know? You need to know that the output shaft on these engines is typically 1 inch in diameter. So your 40 series driver clutch needs to have a 1 inch ID. And I also have some of these available on my website. So you can check out ecocycle.ca. The secondary clutch, this is a 3/4 inch diameter, and the thing to know about these secondaries is that the ramp needs to be in a certain orientation relative to this end cone here. So I've done a video of that as well, about your 40 series, setting up your 40 series secondary clutch, so check that out. This one is the proper orientation, and we mount these with the spring inboard, and that is per Comet's original recommendation, and that helps you maintain optimum belt alignment throughout the operating RPM range. So let's get these guys on. No spacers are required between the clutch and the shoulder of either the engine or the secondary, so don't put any spacers on. Everything is adjustable. The engine will adjust side to side. and the center to center distances are fixed. So there you go, just like that. Put your primary on, put your washer on here. It should line up with the little keyway inside the clutch. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. This one don't. That's fine. And we're going to torque this 3/8 bolt down to a lot. I'm going to get you the official torque spec right now. Okay, 24 to 30 foot-pounds, and I just torqued it down to that level. So, you know, definitely make sure that this is secure. You don't want this coming off. The secondary, it's a much larger nut, so you can put a lot more torque on there. So the way that we mount these secondaries is first we put a little oil on our shaft, which we already did because we spilled gear lube all over the place. And then we slip on the secondary just like so. Okay? Follow it up with one of these washers. This comes with your gearbox kit. Throw a... Oh, see? That's way too big. I always have to find a washer for the gearbox because this one's too big, and I like putting a washer on the end here because otherwise this will it won't quite bottom out on the shoulder there. So I'm gonna go hunt down a washer. I'll be right back. Okay, I just had this lock washer, but it's good enough. You're gonna want a 5/8 diameter washer for this shaft here, and we're just going to throw on the nut and torque her down, and that should probably be quite adequate. So now we're going to line it up, and we're going to do that by running a straight edge down the secondary sheave, and we're going to measure the distance to the primary face, and according to Comet's original recommendation, that should be 3/8 of an inch. So let's do that, and then we're going to cinch that engine down, throw the belt on, throw the battery kit in, and we'll be well on our way. So let's do it. Okay, the way that we line these clutches up is we put a straight edge in here, and we want the 3/8 inch to be the edge of the straight edge to the beginning of the fixed sheave here. Okay, at the shaft. So basically that straight edge needs to come approximately right here on the clutch. Let's see if I can just zoom that in there for you so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so you can put it in there. And 3/8, so that's pretty good. I'd say that's pretty good. Okay, so does it look straight? Yes. Will it need to be adjusted? Maybe. But that's a good starting point right there, and I would just roll with that. Okay, we're gonna throw the belt on now. These belts are non-directional, unlike the 30 series, which is definitely has to be put on a specific way. So this is a 203/785 belt, and the way that you do it, you throw it on over the primary, and then you rotate the secondary until it's on. Okay, so we've got everything pretty well buttoned down. The last step here is to install the starting battery. And we're using a YTX 14BS battery here with the optional battery tray that you can also find at www.ecocycle.ca. And this battery tray is specifically designed for the Big Block PowerPack for those of you who want to integrate the battery right onto the unit there. So it's just going to bolt right onto the bracket in the front, just like so. And we're going to show you how to do that right now. Okay, so in order to put this battery tray on, we're going to use the included hardware that comes with the battery tray kit. So you're going to get these 4 5/16 bolts, a battery retainer strap, a battery mat, and of course the welded battery tray. So with that, let's put this on and get that squared away. So we're just going to put the tray in. There we go. Okay. So 4 bolts, holds everything nice and secure. Get the bolts in here. Got all those guys started. So we're just going to take our 1/2-inch ratchet and wrench and tighten it all down here. I've got the engine all filled with oil, and I just need to put some gas in it, and we should be able to test this thing out. That's all tight. Now what we're going to do, drop our battery in, and it should just fit in there. Now these straps, they just loop around the bracket here. So the back one is relatively easy to get to. And we're just going to stretch that over, and there you go. Your battery is mounted. Okay, so nothing too complicated here. So we'll start with the ground, or the negative. And you just want to make sure that you leave enough, so we're just going to trim that wire right around here. Just cut that off, and I will pull off this insulation maybe a little bit. Okay. Snip this guy off. And then we're going to take some wire strippers and just take off like a 1/4 inch or so. Then we're going to take one of these little yellow stake-ons, slip it over, use my handy dandy crimping pliers, and if you want, you can tape that all up if you like, but you don't really need to do that. One thing we can do is, I was going to say take the boot, but it doesn't look like I got a boot. Oh, the boot's right here. Okay, so this is the boot that comes over. So I guess I should have slipped that on before, but it'll still go. It's flexible. Just to cover up the terminals. And just get that over the wire, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to put that on. These batteries are 10 millimeters. The terminals. And I'll just tighten that down. Okay. Oops. There's a little clearance here. And we'll get that boot right over top, like so. Okay, that's the negative. Now we'll do the same with the positive. So we'll leave a little slack. Cut. Take our booty off. So we got the red boot here. Same deal. Take our wire cutters. Take off a little bit. Maybe I'll just take off a little bit more there. Okay. Put our boot over this time first. One more stake on, Just like so. Crimp. $10mm. It's coming together. Okay. Stick that cover over the battery terminal, and there you go. And you're done. Let's just see if she got some juice. All right. Sounding good here. Okay, there you have it. This is the completed PowerPack engine drive, ready for installation into whatever it is you want to build with a 420cc gas engine, CVT belt drive transmission, reverse gearbox, and all you need are those parts and a PowerPack bracket, and you can have this too. So please visit www.ecocycle.ca, and don't forget to follow, because I really like doing this stuff, and if you guys like it, then please follow along, because this is just the beginning. So with that, let's put some gas in this bad boy and see if she'll start. Time for a little go juice, and gonna start this thing up, I hope. First fire. Never ran before. This engine just came out of the box today, so hopefully she starts good. Won't put too much gas in here just in case. That should be good enough. And I will be starting it, and then I will be vacating the premises because I don't want to get carbon monoxide poisoning. So don't run your engine indoors. And I'm only doing this under a controlled understanding and environment of what might happen if I don't leave this facility when I get this thing running. But I do want to hear it start because I've been working on this all day long. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to turn on the gas. I'm going to turn on the choke. And we're going to see if she starts up. Turtle. Okay. All right. Let's try. Alright everybody, that's it for me. So if this appeals to you and you want a PowerPack engine drive, please visit www.ecocycle.ca. And I not only have PowerPack engine drives, I have reverse gearboxes, CVT belt drive transmissions, and of course a whole bunch of stuff for the small block GX series engines as well. So check it out, and we'll see you later.